Hey guys, welcome to another video from the Parrott Bros. I'm Dom.
I'm Rob.
And today we are doing a bit of a catch up. We've got quite a few little things to do, so we thought we'd make a video because obviously we didn't want anyone to miss out on things like connecting the fuel line. Yep. We've got to do some of the engine loom.
We had to do the injector loom.
Yeah, and a few other bits. So before we get stuck into it, let's roll to that intro. A few of the jobs that we need to do today are connecting the fuel lines. Now we have left the copper lines long because we want to trim them down. We've got to put this on. Yep. This needs some conduit over the top of it for protecting it.
Yep.
And we've also got to try and get the pipes on because they're buried down here behind the inlet. It does say...
Top tip, put them on before you put the inlet plenum on. And that is what it says in the guide, but we didn't listen and now we're going to struggle.
So yeah, we're going to fight with that.
Yep.
We're also going to try and get most of the engine loom on.
Yep.
Because then we can try and start to work out dressing the other looms and whatever.
Yeah, and the silicone hoses.
Yeah, and we need to mount this bracket and a few other jobs. Yep. So we just thought we'd sort of have a bit of a catch-up video where we just get loads of little bits done. Because what it is, we don't want anyone to miss out if they say, oh, you haven't done a video on connecting the fuel lines, we'll throw it into this one, you know what I mean? So it's going to be a bit of an engine tidy and start plugging stuff in. That's probably the most exciting part, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've got to try and remember where everything goes. We did label most of it, so...
then it's just finding the clips and where you actually run the loom, but...
Yeah.
I'm sure. I'd love it if we could do, you know, that tucked look. Where there's like no loom. I don't know how they get away with it.
I know. Dead clean. To be fair though, we're not going to have much, are we?
No, we're not. There's only a few plugs and bits and bobs, so we should be pretty good.
What should we do? Fuel lines first?
Yeah, if we get fuel lines done, that'll be a good starter point, and then see what's next on the list.
Right, let's throw the camera around here.
When fitting your fuel lines, obviously you need to mount and support them at some point. So on my old fuel pipes, the rubber ones, this bracket was cable tied on. So what we've done, we've just adapted it with a cable tie fixing. This can bolt to the bottom of the inlet plenum just here, and then you'll be able to cable tie both your fuel lines up, just so they're supported. We've used a nice little riv nut and a washer, domed head nut, bolt, whichever, and a cable tie. So we'll get that bolted up, and then we can have a look at seeing where we go. And yeah, this is going to be fiddly.
We have cheated a little bit. We've got one already in there, one of the fuel lines, because we wanted to see sort of how they run and how we were going to sort of prep it. Because obviously with the fuel lines, they need to be supported. I think it was every 300. It was some 270 something. It was there was a figure.
We'll have to have a look at. But yeah.
We'll have to double check that, but it needs to be supported at all points. So you have to sort of measure. So you have to keep that into consideration, because the last thing you want to do is fail the IVA on the fact that you don't have one extra clip in your fuel pipe, which you could have easily added a bracket onto. So, but we can cross that bridge at a later date. Rob's having fun there. What size is it?
No, it's on an angle. I think we might have to trim that bracket a bit. So we've got the nice little fuel line, and in this tiny gap here, I don't know if you can quite see that. Dom will pan over to it in a sec. This is your flow, and that is your return. So that's why they say...
Move your hand a sec. There we go.
Put it on before you do your inlet plenum, because otherwise you haven't... Look, I can just about get two fingers in there, so it's well tight. So we've got to get this fuel hose on, done up, and run under. So what we're going to try and do, I think we're going to need some long nose just to fettle it on there. And make sure when you do it, you've got your hose clip that you can get a screwdriver on. Oh, this... I don't know if we're going to...
This is why they tell you to do it before you put your inlet on. We'll have a little fight with this, and then we'll come. Oh, he's got it. Oh yeah, just needs a good push up. Look at that. Right, stop a sec. Let me get in there and have a look. So you can see. There you can see. Oh, there you go. Just going onto there, up onto that nipple. So that's the battle. Trying to get it onto there.
Now we've struggled to get that rubber hose on in that really tight gap, and you've got it all connected. The next thing to do is just put some rubber Copex on your plastic Copex on your rubber lines. This is just to protect them in the engine bay. Obviously the original ones had it. IVA, I'm pretty sure you need it. So we've cut it down to the perfect length. We'll get that fed on, and then we can go ahead and cut the copper hose copper brake line. No, fuel line. And
Not your day today, is it?
it's not my day. I might need. Oh no, we got it.
I was going to say it goes on all right.
So
We've
yeah,
left
we've
it
got
a
that
little
on.
bit short, so there's about an inch either
Yeah,
side.
you can see that. That's about an inch, yeah. So we can get that on. And then our copper line. Obviously, back to the brake line days. We've got this little cutter,
roller cutter, yeah.
cheap little cutter, and we marked it up where we want to trim it.
And again, that pushes on about an inch into the rubber hose, so you've got quite a nice fixing. So at the end of the day, if you have to trim a bit of the fuel line off or anything, you've got some
slack.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then this is just a matter of, as you spin it a few times, give it a little nip.
Yeah, don't do it too tight because it'll actually
you'll crush it.
And you'll make a weird shaped pipe. But
Whereas if you just give it like a little thumb turn, you'll sort of, it's one of them things, you'll sort of feel it.
yeah, it starts to go loose, and you
Yeah.
can spin it really easy with no
And then
resistance.
just give it a
so you
little
just
nip.
give it a little nip.
And we'll just do that, and then we can feed the pipe into that. Have we got a hose clip ready for this?
There is a clip behind you
Right
ready to
here.
go.
Stop it. We've actually got something ready to go.
It was almost like we prepared for this video. That's a lie, but
We're just sort of winging it.
makes it look good.
And then that just comes away. Lovely clean cut. Doesn't like,
No bird edges.
yeah, no bird edges. You can just put that in. Now this hose, Dom, do we need to straighten that out at all?
You mean the copper pipe?
Yeah, it looks a bit,
Wonky.
yeah.
I thought that.
It's just, I don't know how we're going to get that last bit, because that's quite tight.
Yeah. Put the clip on, put the hose on, and then we can always have a fruit about with it.
Obviously, chuck your hose clip. Always get that on first, before you slide your copper on. And I'm going to be OCD and keep my hose clips exactly the same way.
Ah, they've all got to face the same way. Darren would hate that.
Yeah, let's get that on. Ooh, nice and tight.
It actually pushes on there not too bad. So, like I said, about an inch, if you can. As long as it's enough to go past, and then you get the hose clip on. Happy days. And then what I'll do is I'll move the camera so you can see sort of how we're gonna
Where we're going to fix them up.
where we fix them up. Okay, so there's the finished product. We got our last clip literally just here. We just need to tweak the pipes a bit so they just come at the same thing. What we might have to do is get a little, you can get like a 2-pipe clamp that goes in between, and it just holds the 2 pipes together nicely. We've staggered them just so the clips aren't in the same place. As you can see from above there, you've got nice access to them. And then they go underneath here, and we've got a fix-in just here, just there, and then they go up and into the inlet manifold. So quite a nice little job that. Like I said, we're going to try and neaten these up a little bit. We may have to just get one extra fix in from here somehow, just to get them better. But not a bad job at all. We're going to try it. We might have to just tweak them just to get them to foul that coolant pipe as well. And then next on to the list, Rob, is plugging everything in.
Yes,
Loads
mate.
of little sensors. We have plugged in the injector rail just because we had to put that on before putting the inlet on, and that just plugs into your 2 coil packs. We've obviously already labelled everything. Once we've got everything all plugged in, we'll take all them green labels off. But until then, it's always handy to have. Nearly fell over. Never a good idea. But yeah, the Loom is, well, that's the interior one. That's the engine one, so it's actually quite basic. Hopefully we'll be able to get everything plugged in. And then we've got the fuse box relays and a few other little bits that we need to sort out as well. So
We've
still
also
plenty to do.
Also got to do the old, you know, the plate.
Yeah,
So
that metal
that's
plate
probably
there.
the first thing we want to get done is mount this metal
Yeah,
plate.
we'll get that riveted, yeah. So this is where you're going to be mounting your ECU, you're going to be mounting your fuse boxes, your relays and whatnot. What we've done is we've already pre-drilled it with some Clecos just to make sure that all the fixings are in the right place. We've tried to do it as square as possible. We've also used a little bit of foam tape on the backing edge on both sides where it meets the metal, just so it doesn't make any squeaky noises or whatever. But to be fair, this car's going to make plenty of noises, I'm sure. Rob's having a lovely time trying to fit that, because you're trying to put something into a rounded hole, so it's there somewhere. It's one of those. But we'll get all these riveted off. Rob may or may not be able to use his air one on some of them.
I hope I can make my life easier.
least it's another job ticked off. Today we're actually getting quite a few bits ticked off, which is nice. We've got quite a few little jobs, like little 5-minuters that just get neglected for other bigger projects. Having fun there, Rob?
Yeah, it's tight. I swear it weren't that tight the first time round.
It's like an assault course in it. Now it's got wheels and arches on it is a nightmare. It's that much bigger. Oh, he's got his rivet gun ready. He fancies it.
I don't think it helps having the scuttle panel on.
No, probably not.
Because you can't see.
I mean, most people probably would have fitted this a long time ago. Seems more likely. Because the more we read the guide, the more we seem to realise that we're
doing things about 5
doing
times.
things in the wrong intervals. But that is all part of the fun of filming. Is there any problem with that big tool?
This one I might have to.
Can you whack it in? Yeah.
Yeah, you might have to do those two, kid.
Luckily it's hidden, eh?
Yes.
Right, this one's going to be fun because of the steering rack. Yeah?
Yep.
Cool.
Do this one. That is one of the best tools I think we've ever bought.
I literally was about to say, I think it's safe to say if you're going to do a kit build, buy yourself an air-powered rivet gun because...
And I don't think it was even that expensive.
No,
It was
35
probably like
quid.
30, 40 quid.
Considering the amount, especially if you're going to do your own floor pan, all the body panels,
Yeah.
it just gets you a nice... I mean, our carpool tunnel's bad anyway, but...
Yeah, so it saves time and it gives you a nice...
Right,
look.
so that's... I mean, you could stand on that.
Yeah.
That's well on there. There's no... Not going to be any squeaks. Not that squeaks matter because this thing's going to be noisy as hell anyway. But
it's nice just to add a bit of something in it.
So obviously they mount. You can mount stuff obviously up against the back.
We might have to take the scuttle panel off.
This is where all the cables come into it from the engine base. You take your lumen up and in, and then mount onto there. Next is the engine loom, I guess.
I think we're going to have to take this scuttle panel off when we do mount the ECU and stuff.
Yeah.
So we can get drills and stuff in there. But
easy enough,
for now, yeah, let's have a look at the engine loom. Let me just wrap this up.
So what's next then, Rob?
So this loom is the engine loom, and this is what we're going to look at next. And this follows like the driver's side of the engine. So I think it tucks down in this little groove, and then you get numerous plugs like the camshaft, the throttle body. We've got like a little vacuum one here. There's like a position sensor and stuff like that. So we'll just go ahead and we'll get this connected up, or as best we can.
Yep. Now we've been awfully good with labelling to some extent. Some are a bit made up name-wise, but
Might be worth just giving it a quick wipe over.
You want to give it a quick wipe?
A little dusty dust.
Right, hold on, I'll go and grab the spray.
We'll give it a quick spray over and wipe just to clean it up.
But we've left it all in the original trunking because if it's good for the last 20 years, it'd be all right for the next 10. So, and it's obviously got some clips on and bits and bobs.
Yep.
But yeah, you may have some plugs extra because like you've taken off the EGR valve and things like that. We'll have to cross that bridge at a later date. Let me come around the side here.
What we're saying, this tucks in there. There is a white little sort of thing and it looks like it wants to clip somewhere nicely.
So
Just there, is it?
Yeah.
That sort of, it's like a locating pin.
Yeah, so if you work from that end, I'll work from this end. Now we've labelled them throttle body, I think. Yeah, so there are two different types of plugs, so nice and easy. And hopefully it should be as easy for you if you've labelled it as you've gone. Now there's a few we've just written front of engine cable because there was a selection of plugs here that were mounted to a bracket that we do have that we need to get powder coated. Cam front, so that's there. How you getting on?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm just trying to figure out what the best way now is from here to there.
We've got an earthing point now. We need to actually scotch that down just to get it so it's a better surface and a better connection.
Okay, I'll have a look at that.
So we get. Do you want to get a? You got a bit of paper or?
I've got a bit of paper, but I think maybe we'll use a
Little file or
really
something?
fine file.
Yep. You've got nothing on the front.
That's all right. The back's done.
Okay, nice. So what have you got? Talk everyone through what you've got on the back.
All we've got left now is, I believe these two green plugs, they go to the ECU panel, and then we've got one blue plug, which I believe goes to the back half of the loom. The only thing we'll have to do now is just cable tie it round and get it through the grommet hole in the metal panel. But I think what we'll do is we'll leave that for now, because we're not quite sure on other cables and stuff if we need to cable tie lights in. We don't want to cable tie them up and then have to cut cable ties or more cable ties, etc. So
No, we'll try and do the job once and once only.
we'll sort of roughly post it where it needs to be, and then we'll have a little look.
Cool, that's nice and clean.
Okay, so I need to find you a little bolt.
You do. Now, it's worth keeping brackets and bolts, because we've got loads of little brackets like this one, which you can always, if it's not been used the same as it was before, you can always trim it down, paint it, do what you've got to do with it to get decent fixings for things. You got one?
Well, I'm not sure. I've got a... Let me just try it first. No.
Not that one. I like that no as it winds in, yeah.
There you go. Does that need a clean up, or is that your right?
No, it's fine.
So is that 12?
Yeah, I'd say so. There's definitely not going to be a 13. Nothing's a 13 on this. No, 10.
10.
Down on the floor.
No, this is...
Oh, you want to do on a 3/8? Go on. Little tweak. Perfect. Right, so yeah, like I said, we've got some here, these three here, which do have a bracket. Obviously, you want to keep them out of the way of your auxiliary belt.
This bracket here,
Yeah, pass it in.
that we are yet to... We're going to give it a little paint up, because it's a little bit rusty.
Yeah, and that literally just mounts, I can't remember which way it was, I think it's that way.
Yeah.
And it's sat in front of the engine just like that. And then you just clip, these have all got holes in and they've all got clips on the back of the plugs, and they just push in nicely, and then we can use those three. Then what have we got left? This plug, which goes to this plug here.
Yep.
And then we've just got the mass airflow meter, we've got the airbox temperature sensor, which we're not sure whether we use. I'm guessing we probably do.
It goes into the... you drill a hole into the pipe and push it in.
Yeah, so we'll keep that.
Power
and then
steering we're not going to need.
No, and then there's a couple that you may or may not need, and what we'll do with them afterwards is probably loom tape them, or
Probably
put
just tape
some
them
split
up.
ducting over it or something just to neaten it up.
What's that, front of engine?
But pretty much everything, that one goes to that one there, pretty much everything is used, so it's not too bad a job. But that, I mean, that was one of the easier jobs that we've done, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's the...
Should we give this a clean and a paint up?
We've got this lovely bracket now. We painted it up and cut my hand in the process. So be careful, always wear gloves. We've got these loom plugs that can just clip in. So
Do you want to show them? Yeah, lift that loom up and just show them the bracket. I'll zoom in a bit.
yeah, so it's this little bracket here, and you've got your three plugs that plug onto it.
What did we use paint-wise? Let's show them, because I really like this.
Someone did ask a few videos back, didn't they, about what we used on this.
You want to hold that where those clips are, and it should focus in. This is from my partner's favourite place, the range. It's called Maston Hammered Black, and it just gives a real nice, not too glossy kind of finish.
And it's very hard, and it says you can paint it directly to rust, even though we did clean it up.
Yeah.
And it's just like chip-proof and sort of
£8 a tin, and it'll go a mile.
Yeah, it's cheap paint, but
yeah. So
really
they're all plugged in there, nice. They've still got the clips on the back, so we managed to retain them when we did it.
So what have we got? We've got plug 2. Do you reckon?
I don't know whichever one fits in the hole.
We're gonna say
They're all different, so should only have one option. And the other thing we're going to do is we're going to leave all the green tabs on, just in case we have to remove anything. Once we've got it running, then we'll just whip round and just pull them all off with a Stanley blade.
That's those three.
Nice and easy. Now there was a cable tie fixing on the top of that bracket, wasn't there, Rob? Do you want to point that out?
Just there?
Yeah, so you could put another fixing on there if you wanted to.
And just cable tie them.
And just cable tie that loom across there. Now you can plug that one back in again that I unplugged.
Oh, okay, so that's this one here.
Yeah.
Yep.
They all make a really nice, satisfying click as well, so you know they're definitely
I don't know
in.
what this one was.
No, we'll have to definitely look into it. There was a couple that I don't think actually had anything on them, hence the reason we didn't write on them.
So if we can put a riv nut in there,
Yeah, if you put a rivet nut in there, we can just put a cable tie fixing on just to neaten it up a bit.
So that's that all neatened up and wrapped up, and I think that's the video wrapped up. We've got the engine loom done, we've got the fuel hoses on, and that's pretty good for today. The only bits we got left to do is the alternator and starter motor side of the loom. But I think for now, that is it, and we'll catch you on the next one.